I warned Drew that I have brittle bones, so now I'm old and I'm just like, don't make me trip and don't trust me with this because I'm known for my clumsiness. But hey everybody, I'm Kate Meier. I am the president, founder of Craft-Made Aprons. I also have a nonprofit called Help the House Foundation. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but that does give back to the hospitality community, whom I'm doing my work for. So to start off with my little story, this is little Kate. Little Kate was the youngest of 8. I was kind of grew up with not being told that I can't do something. There was really not a ton of supervision, not in a neglectful way, but I had access to a sewing machine, fabrics, all kinds of things. So at a very young age, I started to learn that I could take apart my stuffed animals and turn it into more things. Use that as a pattern and make more. And it was funny because at a really kind of young age, I found that my mom's, she had bridge friends. Her friends wanted to buy these. And I was like, cool, now I can make like money doing that. Really young. I was probably like maybe 8 to 10 age-ish doing that. Started sewing very young. Probably shouldn't have been trusted with that machine in my little tiny fingers, but you learn fast when you're doing that. So that's kind of where this started, and gosh, it's kind of wild to think when I look at this Kate, and I was doing these, coming up with this with Drew. I looked at that little person, I was like, she would not believe where this person is. It's just pretty wild, you guys. Yeah, really, really amazing to think about that. As I learned that pattern making skill and to break stuff down and to like turn things into stuff, I had a fashion show at First Avenue in my 20s. Oh, Drew, what happened, Drew? What did I do? Did it not work? All right. So I kind of, spoiler alert there. I was doing just my own cool things. I made clothes. I was at First Ave on my little weekend breaks from being a mom. And they said, hey, do you want to do a fashion show here? And I was like, that's amazing. Heck yeah, because of course there's Kate without boundaries and limits on what I could do. So I did that. That was very amazing and cool. Get that up there. Can y'all hear me okay? Okay. You can tell I don't do this too often. I like to talk about me and my stuff, but not this way. So that kind of, for me, was a really awesome, cool experience. Was busy being a mom also at that point. I was a manager at a pharmacy. It was pretty wild times for me. But that kind of part of learning that you can like take things and build them and grow it, was a very important piece of my life. Before that, hit the punk rock scene, so that kind of led me into the whole First Ave and the music and all of that amazing part of what I was doing. Let's see if I can get this right, you guys. Next shot. This is Kate at her home when everything blew up. I have four kids. My 3 sons are all chefs. They came to me and said, hey, Mom, do you think you could make something cooler for us, an apron that like fits our needs? It's more durable, it hits all the marks. And I was like, you know what? Heck yeah, I can do that. They had all moved out, and at that point too, I just wanted to be the cool mom again. I wanted to be part of their lives. So this was kind of an intro back into being with them and having an opportunity to really give them something amazing. That person there was very exhausted. I started just doing a few for them, and within, I would say, maybe a year, it was an on and off point for me. I was going through some health challenges at that, which I will get into later, but at that point, it became like we gifted to one friend. It became more friends. And I was kind of in this moment of like, what the hell's going on here? This is not making sense to me. And I was a little anxious. They gave it to a couple very important, pivotal people, which in my life, I didn't know who these cool individuals were, but my kids did, and that was a big deal for them. it blew up into this, bolts of fabric. My whole living room, dining room, kitchen became that. So it was kind of cool that it was just me and my husband, and he's an engineer and was up doing his own stuff. It was just me blowing up our whole entire life. It became very quickly restaurants, full restaurants, outstate, in-state. It was nuts. I was sitting at a sewing machine 12 hours a day minimum. The only breaks that I gave myself were when I got an invitation to go to a restaurant opening, which was very cool, and see everything there, and you're like, holy shit, we did that? That's wild. So really, for a year and a half, that's how I spent my time, going through the memory lane of walking through all of this, because the pace that I've been at the last 8 years it's been pretty wild, very fast, not much time for breaks. Clearly, as you see that tired lady over there. This was my first big, we had a website, there were orders coming in, and so me hand writing each label, making thank you notes on every order that went out, that was for me an incredible moment when we launched that website and those orders started coming in. I was amazed. It blew up. Continued at that pace. We found some sewers. We had a team that took probably about 2-3 years to really get that built up, to build that team that was able to produce at the way that I wanted them to be produced. I was really attention to detail. I knew that if it was going on my kids, I wanted it to be a certain way. If I were to see them out in public, I wanted to see them looking as good on those as I would want them to be on my kids. So holding true to all of those details was very, very important for me. Through that, I'm a 4-year breast cancer survivor. I went out with the, thank you. Thank you. I've had health challenges all along the way.
This will be a little louder.
How's that? And that cord was making me nervous. Yeah, Drew's like, we don't need her having another broken back. I've had multiple back surgeries in my life. Right before this happened, the whole apron thing happened, I had my second major back surgery about a year before this really blew up. My doctors had told me that I would be considered disabled forever. I would not be able to really do anything. I needed a full nother back surgery, and I wasn't going to put myself through that. It's a lot. It's a lot, and I just thought there's got to be another way. I have also underlying autoimmune conditions, which I generally don't talk a bunch about. I have ankylosing spondylitis, which causes your spine to want to fuse together. My breastbone wants to fuse together. So even going through the double mastectomy, my doctors were worried because it's all this. Made it through that, but I would say the biggest part for me getting through all of that, I was honest and open about going through that surgery with my culinary community. They all knew about it. They threw me a big going out to surgery party. It was probably the coolest experience ever. You have, just consider this, all of the top chefs in Minnesota, all of their team and staff, they did a potluck for me outside my shop, in our whole space. There were a couple hundred amazing individuals just giving me a full embrace of we're here for you, we got you, Mama Kate, you're always here for us, we're gonna be there for you. So I went out through this surgery. I was back at work within 2 weeks. I probably shouldn't have been, but I was there. I was excited. I was afraid going out. I didn't know how long I would be away, but getting in and back in with what I was loved, and that's, I think, the whole real true story here is I wasn't seeking something like this. I didn't believe that I'd have the ability to do something like this. I'm a high school dropout. I've really been focused on being a mom, and I took care of my mom for 15 years before she passed, so it was all about that. When this happened and me just facing another health issue, it was kind of I've been there, I've done that, I can do it. I've got more support now than I ever would have imagined. So they were all there to kind of cheer me on. I made it. It was great. It was, I highly suggest having like big parties before you go out for any major thing. Like, don't keep it on the quiet. Let's all celebrate that you're going to do that. So 4 years cancer-free, which is, for me, that was a milestone just not too long ago. Really, really cool. And also, I think when you go through these hurdles and challenges, you kind of learn a different compassion for others. You kind of understand some of the pain as you've gone through these pains and struggles when someone else comes to you, and that's what this culinary community does a lot. They come through our shop, the doors are open, and they feel like someone sees them and hears them and allows them to have a space where it's okay to talk about what they're going through in a really hard space. I want them to feel like it's a confidential area. They can talk about what they need to, and that isn't something that this community gets generally. They're doing their work, head down, hard work, lots of pain, and that's where we lose a lot of people when they're isolating themselves and they're going through stuff and they feel very alone. I learned really early on while I was going through meeting all these individuals, they don't have a supportive family sitting there cheering them on, being their mom person. A lot of them maybe don't have family they've connected with, or they're very alone and isolated. So for me, that's why I started a nonprofit, to be a space for them and to build a community fund so we can give back to them and support. It's been embraced really hugely by our community. It's just, I'm fortunate. I'm fortunate for what we have within you guys all showing up for them, and for them, they support each other. This kind of stuff that happens, these articles and the interviews and all of those things that happen to me, they're very surreal. I feel like I'm just going through them with like so much appreciation, but also like I need to go back to my space where I'm comfortable. This gets me out of my comfort zone. I don't see myself as somebody that we need to all be talking about. I'm just over here doing my thing. And as I go through doing all of this, when you have these moments to step out and look at what's happened and what you're over there making all those orders, and wow, it blows your mind to see that. When you do those things, it pulls you out a little bit to look at that, and it's a wow moment. I just got back from Vegas last night from a US Foods event. I make all of their chef coats, all of their aprons. So nationally, being in a room of like 5,000 people like at this US Foods event and seeing all of these people from size 5X to extra small wearing chef coats from aprons or patterns that I designed, and that's kind of where that whole process went. The pattern making that I was doing when I was little with my stuffed animals, when they came to me like 4 years ago and said, hey, can you do chef coats too? I was like, heck yeah, I can. Like, bring me what you want and what you can't, what you don't have, we'll make something together. So I have 7 sizes for men, 7 sizes for women in chef coats. I'm telling you, I was very nervous to go and see all of these cool individuals wearing these things because I was like, didn't know what to expect. Some of them have been wearing the same one from day one. So I was a little nervous. They all looked amazing. It was incredible. All their buttons were on, which was great. But to see that and to really embrace that, I think it's still sinking in. That I could do that. That little girl that was like, you know, my dad was an alcoholic. I'm the youngest of 8. There were so many reasons why I should not be doing something. The health challenges, all of those things. If I looked at it in that way of like all of those I can't do things, you know, I wouldn't be doing any of it. I've gone through this in the way of like curiosity and excitement. And when something presented itself that looked really fun, I was like, yeah, why not? This is great. Meeting people, as some of you know, I like to talk. Maybe being that youngest person that wasn't getting a ton of attention in those moments of like, hey, there's a person, they want to talk about this. I want to share about it. It's exciting. It's hard for me to believe. I went from like all the different sizes of what we can do, what we can't do. I hope that's the right one. No, it's not. I skipped it. We're going backwards. This is me at the event, by the way. There we are. That's the family. Those are all my kids. Very, very supportive, kind. Those are my boys who like, that's who started it. I developed something crossed back, so it takes the stress off your neck. I wanted people that were wearing them to feel as good as I was. I put one of them on when I was making my first ones, the normal ones, and I immediately was like hunched over. I was feeling terrible. I was like, how do my kids do this? And then I said, tell me what's in your pockets. I loaded up the pockets. I'm like, this is worse than I could have ever imagined. It was not good. Changed it. I went cross back. I developed that pattern. There weren't really crossbacks out there 8 years ago. So that kind of, this is it. This is them. My daughter now works with me. She's my manager in the shop. She runs production. We have a whole team that is making these, and we can produce about 500 a week. We had our most recent order that was sold Kyoto, Japan, which really blew my mind. I'm like, how did you find a little tiny Minnesota company? They found us in Reddit. They said there's threads in Reddit that talk about your company, your brand, who you guys are, and that, I would say, is probably a big contributor to some of the success, besides the fact that everybody that's purchased these things from me, especially along the way when it was Kate sitting at that counter making one-offs for everybody, they feel like they've built this. It's been a community of individuals caring about what I've been doing, because they're cheering on for the underdog. And that part for me is like, how can I not give it my all when there are those people who just meet me and they're like, I believe in you, I love this thing, I'm telling all my friends, and I'm like, wait, don't tell them all yet, let's like take it slow, I'm sore. But it blew up. I do full stadiums, those chefs that are out there. We also do where like those stadiums, different teams, not Minnesota, but they're wearing that Minnesota on them. They bring us jerseys, so we get shipments of jerseys from other sports teams. We just did the Falcons not too long ago. They send us jerseys, we break them down. It took me a while to teach the team how to break down a jersey and make it really cool. These aprons are so cool that when these chefs go to other stadiums, because they all kind of share chefs, when they walk around and they're wearing those cool things, they're like, oh my God, I've never felt so cool in my life. You're walking along and you have all those fans being like, holy shit, where'd you get that? It's like so cool for them. That has helped build that as well. So we've done all of the local sports teams, we've worked with them, and then outside of that, I have a hard time keeping track of who we've done, and I'm not in a bragging way, but it's just like, this thing moves fast. We've done Purdue College, we've done Madison, we've done so many different teams like that. And I think that's one of the favorite pieces too, is like taking something that is sitting in these rooms where they can't use them. Some of these jerseys have players on they don't want to share anymore. We break those down and turn them into something really, really cool. So, but that's it. These are the people that I really started doing this for. They're the ones cheering and supporting for me. So then with that, my oldest my son standing next to me, when he was 21, he got melanoma. He was living at home at that time. He had no insurance. He didn't have a way to like take care of that situation. And I don't think he realized how serious that was. So when that happened and I'm constantly bothering him, he's like, I'm gonna wait until I have a job that can cover this. In 30 days, I'll have insurance. That's when it'll kick in. He didn't have 30 days. If he would have waited that 30 days, he wouldn't be here. I was bothering him enough that he finally went in and had it taken care of. They told him then if he would have waited, he wouldn't be here. Drew, is this thing dying? No? It's just me? Okay. So with that and learning about that, and as I was meeting these chefs and they have a space, they have someone that's looking at them, listening to them, I learned that there were so many other people going through really tragic situations, not having funds, not having a family, and not having that support system. And that's why I started to have a nonprofit that can do those things for them. Building a community fund, and then where it feels like it is a we situation. They get nominated or they nominate themselves to us. We can help them out. We've had just last week, there were 3 individuals that we helped. I do keep their stories very private unless they want to talk about it. I don't want anybody to feel exploited on their worst day, and there are some days that are pretty bad. We helped a woman in South Dakota who's battling leukemia. She can't work, of course. She doesn't have insurance. We were able to give her $7,000 to help her just maintain. She's got to make car payments to get to those medical appointments. She needs to cover her rent so she can stay in her home. You don't know what your future is. That's really tough. There was also another woman, which the story was close to me. She had breast cancer. She went through that whole process. She had 3 weeks of time from diagnosis to time of surgery to work as hard as she could to get those tips. She's a server. She has 2 children. She went out for surgery, did the whole thing, tries to go back to work and got an infection and had to have everything removed and went through a whole nother traumatic experience. So we were there to give her funds to kind of give her a little bit of relief. There are some of these stories which they're hard for me to believe. It's hard to go through that process of understanding, but then there's that confidence, there's that trust that the community is there for them. The more that we kind of grow it together, the more that they feel confident in asking. There isn't a like, this lady's gonna exploit me and stand next to me and take a picture and go, oh my God, I saved this person going through that. They feel like it is a community that's supporting them and caring for them. And everybody that dines into the restaurants and is showing up for them, even if it's a small $10 donation, it does go right to them and help them. And they feel it, they're grateful. A lot of them don't feel like they deserve it because they want to take care of you. You're the person they want to look out for. It's hospitality. They don't want to ask for help. They want to give themselves to you. Sometimes that's why they get themselves into trouble, is because they don't want to stop. They just want to give. They're not feeling worthy or that they need to be cared for in that way. So we have a big gala coming up on the 12th of September. This is another thing that blows my mind is Four Seasons hosts our event. They're so supportive. So if you think that little tiny kid is gonna say, hey, guess what? You're gonna be having a big gala at Four Seasons and all these celebrity chefs are gonna fly in and support it, I just said, no way, there's no way. This thing is amazing. These chefs come in, we have guest speakers. They want to share stories that inspire you guys and inspire people that are in the audience as chefs and those that are there as guests. So for me, just to see that, pretty amazing and mind-blowing. Drew, how are we at? We good? Okay. I just want to tell you guys, if there are any of you that are like in the grind, you're entrepreneurs, you're working really hard, you're doing that thing where there's these moments, I can't do this, I'm done, stay in it. I can't tell you the amount of times I have laid on my kitchen floor, cried my eyes out and said, I can't, I just can't. I have more people than I would think of, but that's just it. We don't think about who's over there rooting for us, because in those times of darkness and hard times, you feel alone. It's really easy to feel very alone, especially if you're in pain. Those are the times where I know mentally I'm sitting there thinking, what would I tell one of these other individuals that are going through a hard time as a chef or in the industry? What would I tell them? It would be like, hey, reach out to someone. Don't isolate yourself and don't give up. Don't give up. There are so many people out there rooting for you and cheering for you. You just don't know it. So stay in it. If there's any piece of you that's like, this is fun, exciting, I love it, I care about it, like stay in there, stay with that. Reach out to someone that you know cares about you and that you can trust to give you a little bit of that support back. They're there for you. We just don't know it. That's my biggest thing I've learned. We just don't know that they're there for us. So, Drew, I think that's about it for me, hey?